Hey everyone, and welcome back. Last time, we put together some awesome, powerful API clients. So today, in part 6, we're going to tackle one of the most common questions I get about Cucumber. How in the world do I share data between my steps? Well, today, we're going to solve it.
So our user client is all set and ready to go. It gives us this really clean, simple way to talk to our API. But as soon as we start writing our first actual steps, we're going to hit a wall. It's a classic problem that every single BDD developer runs into: how to manage state.
And honestly, before we can even think about writing a single line of test code, we have to solve this state problem. It's a real Cucumber conundrum, and trust me, getting this part right, well, it's the secret to writing those solid end-to-end scenarios that don't just run, but actually work reliably.
So let me put it this way, using the exact scenario we're about to build. Imagine this. Our first step creates a user, right? The API does its thing and sends back a totally unique user ID. The question is, how does our next step, the second step, get its hands on that ID so it can check if the user even exists?
Okay, so here's step 1. We have our @when method. It runs, it calls the API, and a new user gets created. The server then generates a brand new, unique user ID and sends it back in the response. But here's the catch. Right now, that ID is totally trapped. It's stuck inside this one single method. And then along comes step 2. This is our @then step, and its whole job is to make sure that user was created properly. To do that, it has to make another API call, a GET request, using that exact same user ID from the first step. But how? How does it get that ID? It's completely isolated. You see, this isolation is intentional. It's the core idea. Cucumber steps are stateless by design. Think of it like this. Each step has amnesia. It has absolutely no memory of what the step before it did. So to connect them, to pass that memory along, we literally have to build a bridge. And that, right there, is our mission for today. We're going to build a super simple but really elegant solution to pass data from one step to the next, but only within a single scenario. So let's get to it. Let's build our context bridge.
And here it is. This is our context storage Java class. I want you to think of this as a shared toolbox, or maybe like a temporary locker. It only exists for as long as one scenario is running. Any step can walk up, put something inside the locker, and then any step that comes after it can open that same locker and take it out. Simple, right?
Now, the way this works is actually surprisingly simple. Under the hood, it's really just a shared hash map. We've got a put method to save some data with a key, like a label, and a get method to pull it back out using that same label. Now, the magic sauce is making this a Spring component. That's what guarantees that every single step in our scenario gets access to the exact same instance of this toolbox. Oh, and you see that add suppressing unchecked? That's just us telling the compiler, hey, we know what we're doing here. Since we're storing all sorts of different objects, we have to cast them when we get them back, and this just keeps our code clean from warnings.
Okay, so our state management solution is built. It's ready. Now we can finally write the fun part, the Java code that actually connects our plain English Gherkin steps to our API. Let's build out our user steps class.
Take a look at the two fields right at the top of our usersteps.java class. See that @autowired annotation? That's pure Spring magic right there. It basically tells Spring, hey, when you create this class for me, please automatically give me an instance of user client and context storage. We never have to write new user client or anything like that. Spring just handles it all for us. That's dependency injection, and it's awesome. All right, this is it. This is the moment we've been building up to. Let's see exactly how our context storage bridge connects that @when step to the @then step and makes sharing data feel, well, seamless. So let's zoom in on the @when method. You can see how that English sentence from our feature file maps directly to this Java method. The very first thing we do is call userClient.createUser. Remember that clean API client we built last time? We're using it right here. This sends the post request off to the server and gets back the entire API response. And this next line, this is the magic line. This is the whole point. We reach into the JSON response, we pull out the ID, and we immediately use our context object to put it into our storage locker, labeling it with the key user ID. And just like that, the data is safely stored away inside our bridge, waiting for the next step.
Okay, so now the scenario moves on. We jump to the very next step, which is our @then method. And its entire purpose in life is to verify that yes, that user was actually created.
And here it is, the payoff. The very first line in this method reaches right back into our context and does a get, asking for whatever was stored with the key user ID, and boom, it pulls out the exact ID that the previous step just saved. The bridge worked. We've done it. We have successfully shared state between two totally independent steps.
Now that we have that ID, we can use it to call our user client again, this time to get that user's details. And then we get to the final most important line, the assertion. We're using a standard JUnit assertion here, assert equals, to check that the API's response status code was 200. 200 OK. If we get that 200 back, it means everything worked and our test passes.
And this whole thing brings us to what I think is the most important principle of this entire series. So really listen to this part. Step definitions should contain intent and assertions, not complex logic. Look at our user steps class. It's so clean and easy to read. It tells you what we're trying to do, not how we're doing it. All of that messy, low-level stuff, that's all hidden away inside the API client, which is exactly where it should be.
Okay, let's just take a step back for a second. We have now built every single piece of our framework. We've got the configuration, the API clients, our state management bridge, and now our very first step definitions. So what's left? Well, the grand finale, of course.
In our final part of the series, we're going to tie it all together. First, we'll write the Gherkin feature file that a business analyst could actually read. Then, we'll configure our Cucumber runners to know what to test. And finally, we get to hit that big green run button and watch our entire end-to-end test suite come to life.
What we did today was absolutely critical. We solved the whole stateless steps problem by building our context bridge. Next time, we finally get to cross it. For the full code snippets and the complete step-by-step guide, be sure to check the Medium article link in the video description below.